Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Round Table.
You're listening to Round Table. I'm Fei Fei, together with Steve, Hatherley, and Yushun in the studio. Coming up, a 2-month summer break sounds like freedom. But for many children here in China, it comes with a new set of assignments, previewing lessons, completing workbooks, and preparing for the semester ahead. Parents see it as a way to get a head start, but experts warn that too much of this academic pressure can come at a cost. So how much learning is enough during the holidays? And is getting a head start really the secret to success? Our podcast listeners can find us at Round Table China on Apple Podcast. Don't forget, we always love to hear from you. Send your feedback, thoughts, or anything you want to share with us and the world to roundtablepodcast@qq.com. A new phrase has been making the rounds among Chinese parents this summer. It's called pre-prepared kids, or in Chinese, 预制娃. This idea is pretty simple. So instead of waiting for the new semester to begin, some parents use the summer vacation to teach their children the next semester's curriculum in advance. New textbook chapters, difficult concepts, exercises, even tests, everything gets you prepared ahead of time. So when the school starts, the teacher essentially are reheating what the children have learned during the holiday. So it sounds very efficient, but also triggered a much bigger debate. Are children really getting ahead by this method? Or are we simply moving the competition earlier and earlier and earlier? So Yushun and Steve, pre-prepared child, 预制娃, has been a very viral phenomenon this summer.
Yeah, I think this term derived from the term that we call these dishes pre-made or pre-prepared food, right? Because they've been cooked in this kind of central kitchen, and then we just heat, and some of these restaurants just heat it up when you order them. So the term pre-prepared child emerged as this viral phenomenon, describing this trend where parents use the summer vacation to force their children to pre-learn some of or even eat the entire upcoming semester's curriculum. And under this approach, the home is treated like the central kitchen that I mentioned before that prepares and packages the knowledge ahead, while the school is doing the kind of microwave thing that merely reheats it when classes begin.
Yeah, this has been a hot issue in the country, as you said, Fei Fei, on Weibo. That's one of the major social media platforms here. The hashtag was circulating, the hashtag pre-prepared kids. More than 6.64 million views and 22,000 interactions, 3,400 plus discussions. At its peak, and this is further proof, it reached number 5 on Weibo's trending list. Everybody was talking about this, and some people are in support of this, and some people are not in support of this.
So I have this question. Are you guys in support of this or not really? I mean, preparing for your lessons isn't something that every school, every teacher would encourage your children, your students to do?
Yeah, this is the kind of assignment that teachers will always give you. But so I cannot speak from a perspective of parents. I can only speak from the perspective of student. I barely do that. Like previewing the content. I only was like curious about what I am going to learn, but on the extent of I just see what kind of like vocabulary, what kind of story that we're going to learn, but not as going through every detail and grasp the knowledge.
In Canada, we don't do this.
At all?
Not at all. The teacher might give you a recommended reading list for the summer, which again, usually nobody really does it. But it's not required work. But this idea of pre-prepared children is not required either. This is just a parental decision. I think an important note is, and I didn't know this until recently, is that Chinese kids, when they go from grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3 to grade 4 to grade 5 to grade 6, they are with the same students and the same teachers
Mostly, yeah.
all the way through. I didn't know this because in Canada, you'll change your homeroom teacher from year to year to year. And I think that might add to the pressure on the parents to get their kids prepared. I'm being presumptuous here. Maybe, Fei Fei, you can disagree with me if you want, but I assume parents feel some pressure to get their kids prepared because they're with the same group of students. So as the years go by, I'm very sure that the parents are familiar with who the best students in the class are, who the top performers are, and where their kid kind of ranks, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And this will encourage the parents to, if the kids are on the bottom, it's going to encourage the parents to do this pre-prepared work. And if the kids are on the top, it's going to encourage the parents to do the pre-prepared work because they want them to stay on the top. But do you agree that that's a factor at play here?
On some level, yes. I think as a parent, regardless if you are doing it deliberately or unconsciously, you will compare notes with other parents and other students, especially within the same class, and to try to figure out at least what position my kid is, so that you can get sort of guess the bigger picture. What if in the whole city? What if in the whole country? What if in the whole group of students, where my kid would be if we're going, well, after all, we are going through exams. So that is one of the concerns for many parents, that they're not thinking about, I want my kid to be the top one in this class and even the whole world. They're just worrying about what if everybody else is doing this and we are not doing this. So we will fall behind.
Right.
So I think this on some level is the reason that they decide to prepare for the next semester. And also, on these parents' defense, when it comes to primary school students, I can't speak for junior high or even high school students.
But that's true in middle and high school, right? Grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, you're with the same classmates, the same teacher?
No, when
you
it comes
switch?
to junior highs, you will switch to a different school. When it comes to the high school, most of the chance you will switch to another school as well.
Right, you change schools, but you begin with a group and then you finish with a group.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of thing.
But on their defense is that for primary school students, teaching the same set of knowledge them once is not enough. They're not going to grasp, I'm not saying 100%, but at least 50 to 80% of everything in the textbooks. So I think from this parent's point of view, giving them a little preview before everything starts in September, at least you can build a little foundation for them so they can have an easier start.
Do you do this yourself?
Of course, every year.
Really?
Every winter holidays or summer holidays, we will. I'm not talking about teaching the whole semester, everything that you need to finish the exam, like at least 90 score out of 100. I'm just saying, get to know what you are going to learn for the next semester. Get a bigger picture at least. And then when you enter the school year, the teachers can sort of filling in the flesh. In this metaphor, you have the skeleton ready, and then teacher filling the
knowledge.
Not heat up, filling the flesh so that you have a whole setup ready after the semester wraps up.
But that's when some of these problems come up because, a lot of parents or students are showing the tendency of they've already seen the lesson, they know what it's telling, so they lose all curiosity and excitement when they actually have the lessons.
Yeah,
but
that's a fair point, I guess.
Yeah, but the thing is that they haven't, as you said, you don't require them to grasp and understand everything. So they haven't actually digested the knowledge. They've just memorized it on the surface level. And this kind of shallow tasting habit ruins their ability to think deeply or explore ideas on their own.
Yeah.
And maybe it's different based on different characteristics or personalities of the children. Because I used to work in a like training agency, so I also assigned them homework of previewing the next lesson. Some of them doing really good, some of them didn't do it. But there are two manifestations of two types of students. One is if they're really good, they previewed it, and they will still listen to the class very, very carefully. And another one is they want to brag about they've previewed everything, so they're not listening to the teacher at all. They're just showing off that, okay, I learned this already at home.
So are kids really loving this previewing homework that regardless of the teacher or parents give them?
I doubt it. It's summer vacation time, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, imagine if you showed your kid a movie at home, right? And it's the movie that they are going to show in the next semester at school. So you sit down with your child in the living room and say, you don't really need to know, you don't need to memorize the dialogue or the script or anything, but just kind of watch it, become familiar with the film. So they watch it, they do that. And then they go to school and they show the movie again. Well, when you see a movie for the second time,
you start to notice, details you missed in the first time.
I was going to say you don't really pay attention as closely as you do the first time because you feel like you've already watched the movie. And I think that's a danger here too, is that number one, and I'm not criticizing you, Fei Fei, but number one, the parents at home might not be qualified to teach the content or the material in the textbooks. Number two, the parents might not make it interesting. One of the jobs of a teacher is to inspire curiosity in the students. The parents, if they're not into it, they might kill the curiosity. Or, on the flip side of that coin, if the parents do a good job and they do teach the bones, if you will, of the subject, 50%, 60%, whatever, and the student feels like, oh, okay, I got it. I understand this already. And then they go to school and the teacher's teaching it. I already understand. Why do I need to pay attention? That could hurt them in the long run, too.
So speaking of teachers, what do teachers think about it? Are they noticing a lot of students that are not paying attention in class? Or on the other side, on the flip side, they're noticing more students have more targeted, oriented questions when it comes to their teaching?
Teachers appear to have a much more cautious attitude. Wu Huazhen, head of the junior high English teaching group at Guangzhou number 65 Middle School, said that she had observed very few students who actually finished an entire semester's curriculum before the school year began. So I think mostly, as you said, Fei Fei, they're required to maybe just have a peek on what is going to be learned next semesters, and most students simply previewed some of the material. And she warned that overloading the summer with study could actually increase children's resistance to learning. And modern exams are becoming just more flexible. Simply recognizing a concept or memorizing an answer is not enough. Students increasingly need to transfer knowledge to unfamiliar situations and apply it flexibly. And that means there may be a kind of fundamental misunderstanding behind the pre-prepared kid strategy. If the goal is simply to just finish the textbook first, then a child may appear to be ahead. But if the goal is just long-term learning ability, being ahead by a few chapters may not mean very much, but probably waste their maybe playtime during the summer vacation.
I'll use the movie analogy again. Have you ever watched a movie with someone and you're watching it for the first time, but they've already seen it?
Yeah.
It's not as fun.
Yeah,
right?
They kept saying things that you don't want to hear.
Yeah, like, oh, look, something big's gonna happen. So it's not as fun, right? I think it's the same for the teachers, because they're showing a film to a group of students who have already seen the film. It may be a loose analogy, but again, I think it's a fair point. I've taught all different levels. I've taught 4-year-olds and I've taught in universities in Korea. And standing in a university classroom or a high school classroom or a middle school classroom with a group of people who are unmotivated to be learning what you are showing them is a very disheartening feeling. It's one of the harder parts of being a teacher, I think. So when you're introducing something to a group of students and they've already seen it, that same excitement or passion or curiosity, it's just not going to be there because they've seen it before. They're not hearing about it for the first time.
But I don't want to make it as like, okay, parents are just want everything and forcing their children to do this during summer vacation, and they don't want any good for they want their children to be good, and they want to provide with the best they can offer. It's just sometimes they claim that they had no choice. It feels like, okay, who has finished how many chapters, who has memorized how many English words, whose child is already reading English novels, they cannot decide that. What they can do is just keep up the pace. And they don't know if it is good or not, but they don't want their children to fall behind. And then as a result, everybody's is doing the same thing. And it comes to that kind of classic prisoner's dilemma. Each family may believe that studying ahead gives its own child an advantage, but when everybody makes the same decision, the advantage disappears while the cost remains.
And I think the source of this dilemma or anxiety from the parents are really the sense of uncertainty. They're not really sure, first of all, what my children are capable of. I'm not 100% sure. What pace my children are studying at the same this time, I'm not really sure. And then when it comes to his or her peers, what pace are they at? I'm not sure. What about the world? What about the future? There are a lot of questions in a parent's mind.
Sure.
And there is no answer. No one can give one answer, at least one optional answer to these parents. And so they are trying their best to at least prepare their kids, not only for the exams or the next semester, but for the future.
Yeah, and you said, Yushun, that, everybody can just agree. So let's go in the school group chat, in our classroom group chat, and let's have all the moms and dads agree. Okay, we're not going to do this for our kids here. Do you think?
No,
exactly.
In the back of their mind,
exactly.
They will start thinking,
now I have the secret advantage.
I think somebody else is doing that, secretly.
Okay.
Then we better start on our own.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change. But I do see, I painted a pretty negative picture about it before, but there's one place where I do think that there's an advantage here. And that's in the subjects where students might be a little bit weaker. Not every student is going to have the same strengths in every single subject that they study, right? Some might be better in languages than they are in mathematics or something like that. If you are falling behind a little bit in mathematics, or it's just not a natural talent or skill of yours, then I think spending some time during the summertime having a look at the problems or the concepts with your children before they get into the classroom, I think that could be very beneficial. But specifically to the subjects that you might not be the strongest in.
And we've been having discussions on how anxious parents can be for really, really long time, for years, for decades. And sometimes also experts are saying, why can't we just trust our children a little bit more? Trust their ability of learning things, trust their ability of previewing things and understanding things by themselves.
What do you think about that, Fei Fei?
Yeah, I 100% believe in this trust thing. You just trust them having this, at least they even though in your opinion, from the parent's perspective and observation, the kid didn't really have that ability of self-planning or time management, or really realizing that she or he need to spend more time on the study, they will come to the terms eventually. You just need to give them time.
You could use the strategy that my parents used on me. Remember, my dad was a high school vice principal, right? And my mom is a tough lady. And they told me when I was a student, and this is all through my school years, all the way to the end of high school, this is what they said. We will never check whether you have done your homework or not. We're not even going to ask you. But don't make us answer the phone one day and have a conversation with a teacher about your grades. So it's completely up to you. And
what if the teacher called?
Well, I was so scared of doing poorly, that I independently did all my stuff. And don't misunderstand, it's not because I was some amazing student who loved homework 24 hours a day. I just didn't want my parents to get mad at me. So that's why I did it on my own. You could try, once your kids get a little bit older, you could try that out. They never asked me about my homework, but I always, most of the time did it.
But still, that requires a lot of like self-discipline. But if the children or the student could not just have the ability of controlling themselves and focusing on the homework, the results
and
is
also
different.
personality. I think before the show we checked, once you received your new textbook, what would you do? Will you check out everything beforehand, before the whole semester begins?
I will put it as new as it was and wait until the next semester.
I would look up everything beforehand, all of the textbook throughout my student years. I'm so curious about what am I going to learn in Chinese this year? What about history? What about math? What about biology?
Are your kids the same?
Not exactly same, but she'll probably do the same thing on the first day of the school starts. And just out of the curiosity, maybe that's one reason I'm more relaxed when it comes to this preparing thing, is I know she has that curiosity, but maybe for a different child, the parents should use like a different strategy. So that's why I think when it comes to parenting, it's so diverse and so difficult.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, sure, maybe do a little bit of this prep stuff in the summer, but check your kid. I mean, how are they reacting? If they seem exhausted and they're not into it at all, give them a break and maybe revisit it a little bit later.
Yeah, so we are going to see this start of a new semester very soon in September. So we do hope that parents, give your children more trust, more hope, and more time. And that brings us to the end of today's roundtable. On behalf of Yushun and Steve, thank you for listening. I'm Fei, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.